Okay, so this video is going to show you how to do your rough draft. The first thing that you need to do is make sure that you have your outline open, and you cannot do this rough draft unless your outline is completely done. So make sure that that outline is done, and then if it is, you may begin your rough draft. So first thing that we need to do is get open a blank Google Drive document. So make sure that you're signed into Drive. Go to your English folder, click in that English folder, and then click New Document. Now is where we need to make sure that you get your document in MLA format. Remember, we took those on that green sheet notes. The first thing that I want you to do is rename it. So you can call it Song Paper, Paper Rough Draft. And then you can go ahead and put your first and last name and maybe your hour, okay? Then it's time to come down here to your document. Now, your document will most likely default to 1-inch margins, but you might just go ahead and check it by going to File, Page Setup, and make sure all of these are 1 inch. If you look at your green sheet handout, it's going to tell you to make sure that you have an Arial or Times New Roman. You can choose whichever one you want. And then make sure that it's 12-point font. And then remember, make sure that it's double spaced. So why don't you pause this video quickly and go get your document started and make sure that it's formatted like that, what I just did. Okay, let's go ahead and start in our heading right here. Remember, the heading is what appears on every page. The heading is what appears on the first page, and the header is what appears on every page. In that name block, we need first and last name, your teacher's name, your class, and then you also need the date that the paper is due. So this is your rough draft, and rough drafts are due on Monday. What is Monday's date? The 19th, I believe. So you will write 19th September of 2016. Then you're going to have your title. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and write title, but I'll obviously go in and change that later. And then I'm ready to begin my paper, typing there. We need to make sure that we have our header in here. So go ahead, you can just double click at the top here and it'll automatically put your header up there. For some reason, Google Drive puts your the cursor like right up there at the top. I always say to return down one time just to get it off of the very top, and then remember that needs to be left aligned. Now you'll notice that your font went back to what it was before, so go ahead and change that to Times New Roman and 12. Remember, you put your last name there, and then you need the page number. And in order to do that, you do Insert, Page Number, and then you want this first one right here. So again, go ahead and pause this video and go get your name block written in there, the title centered, and your last name in the header. All right, so now it's time to go ahead and start typing your rough draft. So hopefully, if you did your outline correctly, this shouldn't take you very long. The better job you did on your outline, the easier your rough draft will be to write. So go ahead, make sure that you have your outline in one tab and your rough draft in another. If you're in Chrome, which is what I would suggest that you be in, you can take this tab and you can pull it out so it's in its own separate window. And if you do that and minimize this window, you might have to do it to 75%. And then the same with this one. If you change the zoom to 75%, you could possibly, and then change this window to a little smaller. You can get them side by side, and that will really help you write your rough draft. The other option is that you can print your outline if you want to, because that's what you're going to be working off of. Remember, the outline is that roadmap to our rough draft, which will lead to our final copy. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to write your attention grabber. You know what, before we start, let's take a look at our outlines and let's just make sure that you have some things in there. For your introduction paragraph, make sure that you have your attention grabber, that background information, and the thesis statement. Pause this video and just go double check your outline real fast to make sure you have that information. Okay, the next thing I want to do is look at each of your body paragraphs. Remember, each of your body paragraphs should have the same things in them. They should always have that topic sentence, and the format of your topic sentence should be the exact same for all three of your body paragraphs. So you're going to have your literary device and then say is used to show. You can have your song in there if you want to. It doesn't really matter. But personification is used to show that. And then remember that right there is your theme statement. That was the lesson, moral, or message that somebody could learn by reading your song. So the next thing you need to make sure that you have are 3 different quotes from your song, okay? Some of you might only have 2, but remember you can only have 2 quotes for only one of your devices. If you have 2 quotes for more than one, then you need to go back to your song and you need to find another example of that particular device. So after you have the quote, remember that's where you go in and you do the explanation of how it supports your theme. As I was walking around yesterday and the day before watching you do your outlines, some of you only had like 1 sentence here. That's not going to work. You need to make sure that this is like 2 to 3 sentences. Remember, you are first explaining the quote and then you are talking about how it supports your theme. So make sure that you do that for each of these. Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and go make sure that in all of your body paragraphs, so each time you have a new highlight where it says first thesis point, second thesis point, and third thesis point, make sure that you have 3 quotes and explanations in there for all of those. Okay, so let's go ahead and start typing our introduction paragraph. So again, I'm going to have these 2 windows lined up side by side so that I can work off of both of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in what I had for my attention grabber. All right. I'll talk about copying and pasting here in a little bit, but because we're just doing short little sentences for our attention grabber, go ahead and just type it in exactly. All right, so I have my attention grabber. Now it's time to start talking about the background information. So I might say something like the song Breathe by Anna Nalick was released on the album Wreck of the Day on April 19th, 2013. Make sure that album titles are italicized and song titles are in quotation marks, okay? This was Nalick's first radio hit that peaked at number 45 and went 3 times platinum on the Billboard Top 100. It appeared on many popular TV shows, including Grey's Anatomy and One Tree Hill. And because those are names of TV shows, they will be italicized. All right, so then it's time to type my thesis statement. So in Breathe, comma, Anna Nalick shows that life goes on regardless of the bad things that happen by using personification, similes, and idioms. Okay, so that is my first paragraph for my rough draft. Go ahead and pause this video, and I want you to go type your first paragraph for your rough draft. All right, so now it's time to start. I have a yellow highlighted heading here, so that means that it's a new paragraph. So I'm ready to start my first body paragraph, which is my first thesis point. So my first sentence in there, I'm just going to put in directly what I had there for my topic sentence. So personification is used to show that, and you know what? I'm going to come up here and copy this because I know it's my theme statement, that life goes on regardless of the bad things that happen. Okay, so now it's time to introduce my first quote, all right? So words are threatening the life it belongs to. I don't want to just put that quote in there without introducing it because it wouldn't make any sense if I said personification is used to show that life goes on regardless of the bad things that happen, words threatening the life it belongs to. It just doesn't make any sense, so I have to introduce it. So I might say, the first quote that uses personification is, and I always put a comma before I put the quote, all right? So words threatening the life it belongs to. Okay, so I always want the quote to be part of a sentence. So there always has to be some sort of introduction to the quote, all right? So the next thing that I need to put in is going to be the explanation. So obviously that's a bigger chunk of text. So what I am going to do is I'm going to copy and paste it, but I want to show you what might happen. So if you come here and copy and paste it, Command C, and then Command V, depending on how it copies and pastes it, it might be a different text color. It might still put the bullet point in there. One thing that you can do, say it did put the bullet point in. Let me see if I can get it to actually do that. If it does put the bullet point in, it didn't do it that time right there. But one thing that you can do is you can just highlight some text up here in your top and click this little paint format brush. If you click that, then it's going, and then come down here and highlight the rest of it, it's going to format that text, whatever you highlighted up there. If you're having problems with that, just raise your hand and I can come over and I can help you make sure that doesn't happen. So, okay, we're ready to move on to our next one, our next quote. So I might say, the next quote that shows personification is, comma, quotation marks, these words are my diary screaming out loud, period, quotation mark, okay? So again, remember we have to introduce the quote. And then again, we can come here, Command C, and paste it in there. And so I'm going to highlight some of this, get the paint format, and then highlight the rest of it, okay? Then I have my last quote, and the last quote is, accusing their eyes. And then again, I can come here and just copy that and paste it directly in there, okay? Format. If that's annoying to you, if you don't want to do that, just type it directly from your outline. That's not a big deal at all. Then I'm ready for my concluding sentence. From the examples above, one can see that personification is used to show that life goes on regardless of the bad things that happen. And then again, I'm in my transition sentence. It stays in that same paragraph, transitioning to the next. Another literary device used in Breathe is similes. Okay, then I'm ready to start my next paragraph about similes. So I type the topic sentence, similes are used in Breathe to show that life goes on regardless of the bad things that happen. I would introduce the quote. The first quote from the song that shows this is, comma, space, quotation, we're like cars on a cable. This quote means, and then I would finish it. So you should be able to see that if you did a good job on your outline, your rough draft will literally write itself. So just make sure that you're following along on your outline. Again, if it's easier to print it off, that's fine too. Just make sure that you're following along, okay? As you can see from your outline, you are going to have 5 separate paragraphs. When you get down here to your conclusion paragraph, you really can just kind of copy and paste each of these in there and it should be your conclusion. So there will be an example on Schoology. If you look in the literary analysis paper folder, in the rough draft folder, there will be an example in there along with where you're going to turn your rough draft in. So when you are done with your rough draft, you'll go ahead and do that file, download as PDF, and upload that into there. So hopefully this video helped you create your rough draft. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to raise your hand or come ask me. Good luck.